All right, welcome everybody to Viterbo University's Accelerated Coordinated Masters in Dietetics Open House. My name is Jamie Weber and I'm the Coordinated Program Director, so I will be taking you through a PowerPoint that talks a little bit more about our program, and we have a few faculty members here that will be introducing themselves as well. We have Dr. Maria Morgan-Bathke, Dr. Kelsey McClemens, and Dr. Karen Gibson. So who am I? So I'm actually a graduate from Viterbo's coordinated program in 2002. And then I completed my master's in professional development with Winona State University in 2014. Oftentimes I get the question, what is professional development? I basically took the counseling courses, but I didn't do an internship. So I'm not a licensed professional counselor, but it's more the helping track. And you'll see a picture here of my husband and my two kiddos, Delia and Matthias. I talk about them a little bit more down the road here. Some more about my experiences. I've worked mostly in the community realm, but small amount in medical nutrition therapy. So I started off my career working at Vernon Memorial Hospital as a diet tech. And then after that, I got my first registered dietitian job working for the Ho-Chunk Nation, and I worked there for about 6 years. I've worked for Riverside Corporate Wellness for a year. I have over 14 years of experience with WIC. Most of that is on a contracting basis, so I've maintained a full-time job and then have contracted with WIC. Long-term care for a couple of years. And then some contracting with Organic Valley. And then I believe I'm starting my 6th year at Viterbo this year. So I included some fun pictures so you can get to know me a little bit more. You'll see Regis and Kelly and me. This was already 10 years ago. I traveled to New York and went to the Regis and Kelly show and got to be their travel trivia dancer. So I got to take a picture with them. When I was in grad school, I did a travel study to China. So that's the Great Wall. Me with the Dolphin is pre-husband and kiddos, took a trip to Mexico, and then Halloween last year with my family, and just my little dog Zoe too. And then just a fun picture of the kiddos. So my family is, Nick is my husband, and then Delia's 5.5, Matthias is 4.5, and then Zoe is 12, so she is getting up there. I enjoy just being with my family. I love coffee, mostly lattes, so the fancy coffees, and just being in nature. So a few more fun pictures of my family, and then you'll see the picture in the middle is actually my kiddos a couple years ago working with some of our students.
All right, and I'm Dr. Morgan-Bathke. I graduated from University of Wisconsin Stout with a degree in dietetics and a minor in Spanish. So I studied abroad in Sevilla, Spain for a semester in my undergrad, and we now have an affiliation with the university where I studied. And we offer, Jamie and I offer a course every other summer where we travel to Sevilla, Spain, and we learn about sports nutrition and the Mediterranean diet. We work with Spanish athletes and Spanish culinary students. So if you're interested in studying abroad or learning more about sports nutrition, that is an awesome course for you to consider taking. We spend about 3 weeks in Spain for that course over the summer. I did my PhD in nutritional sciences at the University of Arizona, and I also had a minor in cancer biology there. And I completed my internship at the Carondelet Health System in Tucson, Arizona. So I had a lot of great experiences there that I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. The pictures I have here, I'm kind of a new-ish mom. This was my daughter last year for her first 4th of July. My husband and I, when I graduated from Stout. This is me with the executive board of the Minnesota Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I was on that board for a few years. And now I'm serving at the national level for the research dietetics practice group, as well as the weight management dietetic practice group. So definitely I'm an advocate for getting involved with our field. And then this is me and my research advisor when I graduated for my PhD in the lower right there. Jamie, can you hit the next slide, please? So my clinical experience actually started when I was in my undergrad. I was a nutrition assistant at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota for 5 years. And I got to see a really great wide variety of patient types and concerns. I started at a regular med surg floor and then moved to like a cardiovascular floor and then ended up in the pediatric and neonatal intensive care units. So it was a really great experience. As I mentioned on the previous slide, I did my internship in Tucson, where I worked at St. Mary's Hospital, where I saw primarily Hispanic patients. I also got to work at St. Joe's, where I saw primarily like elderly Caucasian, more like our snowbird population. I got to work on 2 different Native American reservations, as well as some pediatric hospitals and the VA there. So just a great experience. The focus was in medical nutrition therapy, or MNT, and then I specialized in critical care and renal nutrition while I was there. I have a stronger medical nutrition therapy background, so I still practice in that area. I do weight loss counseling and type 2 diabetes management, both at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, as well as through Vita Health, which is a telehealth program. So on this slide, I have a picture of my little girl for her first Halloween. That's okay. We skipped through that, but you can see some cute pictures there. You can go to the next slide. Thanks, Jamie. I've got a ton of research experience. So if you're interested in completing the graduate program here as well, the master's program, maybe you're interested in doing some research studies with me, or even in the undergrad, Viterbo actually has an undergraduate research fellowship. So for my PhD, I focused on nutrition and cancer therapy and used animal models, mostly mice and cell lines. And then I completely switched fields, and now I do research into obesity, looking at fat metabolism, insulin signaling, inflammation, and I do those studies in people versus mice. And in addition to like looking at variations in inflammation, depending on if they're obese or lean or have diabetes, I also do dietary interventions like a vegetarian diet or adding pecans to the diet, those sorts of things. And then here are just a few pictures of my 2 dogs, putting up with my husband, putting glasses on them, my daughter when she was really little, and then my husband and I in front of the famous saguaro cacti in Tucson. And then last, I love spending time with my family. Family walks are one of my favorite activities. And I love traveling, at least before when it was safe. So my daughter, before she turned 1, we went to Philadelphia, where you can see on the bottom there. We went to Las Vegas on the upper right. And I guess I don't have any pictures, but we also went to visit her uncle in the Cayman Islands. So she has had a passport since she was like 6 weeks old, and is a well-traveled little girl, and I can't wait until traveling is safe again. And before I had a daughter, I really loved reading, wine tasting, and painting. I don't have as much time for those activities now, but they still are some of my favorite things.
Hi everyone, so my name is Kelsey McClymans and I am an assistant professor here at Viterbo, and I am also the director of our graduate program for the Masters of Science in Nutritional Sciences. So a little bit of background about myself. I graduated from UW-Madison with a bachelor's degree in dietetics. Then I went on to UW-Stout and got a master's degree in nutritional sciences. I went to do my dietetic internship at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and this was heavily focused in medical nutrition therapy. And so I got a chance to rotate through all the specialties that Mayo Clinic has and see a lot of unique patients. After that, I went on to do my PhD at Iowa State University, and that was in nutritional sciences. And I did my research with an emphasis on aging and neuroscience. And then I just have some pictures of me at the Mayo Clinic, and then the graduation picture is right after I got hooded for receiving my PhD at Iowa State. And then a little bit about my research experience. So like I mentioned in the previous slide, I'm really interested in the role of nutrition and aging and how it impacts the brain. So I've looked a lot at insulin resistance and how that plays a role in the development and risk of Alzheimer's disease. I've also been interested in vitamin B12 and cognition. So I did a study in my PhD where I looked at individuals who were considered lean and individuals who were considered to have obesity, and looked at their serum vitamin B12 levels and their cognition through electroencephalography, which is electrodes that are placed on the scalp, and then did different cognitive tests with them, and looked at the relationship between vitamin B12 and their cognition. Also have done a little bit with Parkinson's disease too, looking at similar relationships to see if what we see with Alzheimer's disease and insulin resistance carries over into Parkinson's disease. And then also just novel nutritional biomarkers. So markers of processes that are going on nutritionally in the body that we can measure typically in the blood or the cerebrospinal fluid, which is the fluid that surrounds the spine and the brain. And then I enjoy spending time with family and friends. I like biking and being outside. Lacrosse is great for doing outdoor things. There's lots of state parks nearby, and we have the bluffs, so I really enjoy exploring all those areas and just being outside. I really like cooking and baking as well, trying out new recipes. I like looking at recipes from around the world and trying to make them. I'm a big Badgers and Packers fan, so I like watching those games and cheering them on. And then spending time with my cat Olive, which I have a picture of, and she's my work buddy. She always keeps me company when I'm working or studying, so she's fun to have around.
All right, so I will talk a little bit more about our ACMD program, which is our 4+1 master's program. So it includes your bachelor's, your master's, as well as the supervised practice hours. And if my web page will open up, I've included a link that takes you to our nutrition and dietetics webpage where we have all of our information listed. So if you have any questions, you should be able to locate it here. But you'll see it just gives kind of a little summary about the ACMD, and that a master's degree will be required by CDR in order to become a registered dietitian nutritionist after January 1st of 2024. So everyone entering into our program now will be completing the master's program. So how do I become a RDN? Like I said, by 2024, you're going to need a master's degree as well as the 1,200 hours of supervised practice. So Viterbo University is one of 61 programs in the nation to offer that coordinated seamless track. It's really nice because there are some programs that just offer the bachelor's portion, or maybe they offer the bachelor's and the master's, but not the supervised practice. And in that realm, you would have to apply for a dietetic internship, which is very competitive. So this is just nice knowing when you enter into our program, you know, you will be a priority to be placed within our master's program. As far as the course sequence, this is also on our webpage. Hopefully it'll open here, we'll see. And if it doesn't, you can find it on our webpage. But basically, the first couple of years is going to be a lot of your gen eds. Here it is. So as you can see, the first year and second year, it's a lot of your basic science courses, like your anatomy and physiology, your basic chemistry, microbiology, you know, biochem, basic math like statistics. Your first semester, you do take Introduction to the Profession, which Dr. Kelsey McClemens teaches Nutrition 140, and that gives you an overview of what dietitians can do. I think a lot of us know that, oh yeah, I can work in the hospital as a dietitian, or I can work for WIC being a dietitian, but there's so many more things you can do. And so this class gives a very good like groundwork as to what you can do within the profession. And then followed by the second year, we get you into food science. Well, actually you have a food science course your first year too, 173. So that's your first semester as well. And then your first semester, your second year, you have the second portion of the food science course, and as well as human nutrition. So you'll start learning basic nutrition really within your second year. Let's see, and then it looks like, so about 3.5 years are your basic like undergrad courses, and by the spring semester of your fourth year, you're really getting into some of those master's level courses. And then you do have one summer session where you'll take some master's courses, and then you'll finish up the program doing the MNT Capstone as well as the community capstone. So those are your supervised practice hours. So your MNT, likely in a hospital or clinic of some sort, and then the community, a lot of worksite wellness, WIC, corporate nutrition, like your grocery stores, like your Hy-Vee. We have Festival Foods in this area. And then you'll also complete your research while you're doing your final rotations. So again, this is the basic course sequence, and it is posted on our website as well if you wanted to take a look at it a bit more in depth. Oh, and another perk, so our master's program is completely online, which means you can do it really from anywhere in the nation. And then we would just help you secure a supervised practice site in an area that interests you or where you want to live. I always encourage students to seek out a final rotation in an area that you want to work in and or want to live in, so you can start networking. Here I included a slide of the program costs. It tends to go up a little bit every year, but this is what it's going to be for this year. But in the spring, they'll give us the new prices for the following year. But you'll see basic tuition is around $28,600 for the year. You're going to have some student activity fees as well as technology fees. We do require a background check prior to beginning final rotations. And then there's also a clinical fee attached to when you have those supervised practice hours as well. But that's only the last couple semesters. As far as how can I afford to go to school, you know, some may be able to pay cash, some might need loans or grants, scholarships. So I did include our financial aid homepage here. And so if this pertains to you, I think it's pretty user friendly. You can click on, are you a new freshman, you know, which, or a transfer. So I would think a lot of you would probably select this option. You know, if you have more questions, you can reach out to financial aid too, and they'd be happy to help you out. But just know that that is an option. So you will do supervised practice in 3 different areas: food service, medical nutrition therapy, and community. Your food service rotation, I think it's the spring semester of your 3rd year. You'll do, or we might even combine it too. It could take place by itself, 8 hours a week, or it could be combined with the medical nutrition therapy final rotation. But food service, on average, you're going to need about 8 hours a week, or about 200 hours for the semester. So some sites that you'll be able to log your food service hours would be the hospitals, schools, and different corporations. Your medical nutrition therapy capstone, you'll need to log about 32 hours a week or about 500 hours for the semester. And like I said before, some common sites would be the hospitals or clinics where you would log these hours. And then community is 32 hours a week as well. So again, 500 hours for the semester. So some common WIC placement or community placement sites would be the WIC program, like I had mentioned before. We have a lot of students, so I'd say a handful, who have been interested in performance nutrition or sports nutrition. So we will connect them with some universities that we work with to get that experience. Worksite wellness, county health departments, and then the supermarket dietitians. RDN exam review. So before graduating, we do have you take a practice exam to make sure that you're kind of on par with where your studying needs to be before you take the national exam. So the program we use is called Eat Right Prep. And it's a program where you can work at your own pace online. And typically you'd have access to this October through June. And we usually require you to take at least one practice exam prior to graduating. So it gives you a better idea of where you need to study before you sit for the actual exam. We have a Student Dietetic Association. So this is some of our students from last year. They were working in a community garden. But we do require you to be members of SDA during the professional phase of the program. There's a lot of fundraising opportunities with SDA. They do, they've done a spaghetti dinner. They might do like a soup or like a chili fundraiser this fall. They typically do an apple pie sale over Thanksgiving. They've done some candy sales over the Valentine's Day timeframe. So just some good opportunities to raise some money, and you can use the fundraising to attend either local or national nutrition conferences. Our class last year, our senior class, actually raised enough money for the entire senior class to travel to Philadelphia, where FNCE, the Food and Nutrition Conference Expo, was held last October. And so that was kind of exciting for the group. And on a smaller scale, but equally as good, we have either the WAND, Wisconsin Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics, or MAND, the Minnesota Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics, because we're kind of on the border between Wisconsin and Minnesota. But you could raise funds to go to either of those conferences as well. Different social events, lots of volunteer opportunities. It looks really good on a resume to say that you served on our SDA board. And then I did include a couple of videos for you guys. We have an assessment lab on campus, and hide myself. And so I'll show you that little video first. It's in the nursing building, so I kind of took a shot from the outside. We call it, it's 298. So you'll see when you walk in the main door, you'll see the big white thing on the floor. That's our hydroponic garden that's not up and running right now, but we do have one. You'll see it's a pretty spacious classroom. We have a smart board up front, which is really nice with the projector. You'll see the 3 rooms off to the right are our medical exam rooms. So we use those if you want to take blood pressure, blood sugar, have some privacy with your clients. We also have 4 interview rooms around the backside, and in each room, they look identical. You'll have a computer with 2 chairs, and this is where you practice your counseling skills. And so when you log into the computer, the instructor can view your session live, or you can record it, and the instructor can view it at a later date and time and give you feedback. And we also have a foods lab. Oh, let's see, where's my cursor? Here it is. Okay, so we also have a really nice foods lab. It's right across the hall from our assessment lab. So you'll see when we walk in, there's a lot of natural light. We have a lot of windows. So I typically have the students do a lot of like social media recording, and I typically have them record in the foods lab because it's so well lit. But you'll see we have kitchens 1, 2, and 3 on the side wall, and then 4 and 5 on the back wall. So we have 5 different kitchen stations. And then I walked around the back. So when you're sitting facing towards the front of the room, this is what you'll see. We have a big screen that drops down as well. So if someone's presenting, you know, you'd put the screen down. You can kind of see when I'm walking around, there's a stove on the counter. And then I attempted to show you when I put the camera up, but I didn't quite reach it. There's a camera on the ceiling. And when you're cooking, you can turn the camera on and it shows up on the TV on the wall there. So the participants that are sitting can see what you're doing easily. And that's our dry storage area. We have a whole bunch of tools. So yeah, really nice facility. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email at jaweber@viterbo.edu, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions and get you more information if needed. Thanks for attending.